This is a video about this left-handed gamepad, the Splitfish FragChuck. I'm a disabled gamer. Although I'm lucky enough to have both hands, my right hand has crippling carpal tunnel pain, so I need to do everything with my left hand. And I've been on a quest to find a good left-handed controller. So this device is really meant for people who play first-person shooters, and the idea is that though you would continue to use a mouse for looking and aiming, you would use this instead of the keyboard for movement. So instead of putting these fingers on the WASD keys, you would use this thumbstick for movement, and then you would have some extra buttons that you would have instantaneous access to. So the idea is that you could use your left hand for more activities than just movement. This seems like a reasonably good idea. Now, one of the neat things about this design is it's meant to sit flat on a table like this. So you can just rest your hand on it, and it's supposed to be ergonomic. And that is a big upgrade over some left-hand joysticks I've messed around with, which require you to literally hold the thing kind of in a death grip. Of course, you could do that with this too if death grip is your style. But with a person like myself who has carpal tunnel issues, the fact that this can sit flat is a really good idea. Now, in order to understand the strengths and weaknesses of this device, you have to know a little bit about its true purpose. This is actually not meant for PCs, it's built for the Xbox 360. And the idea there is it's also supposed to enable first-person shooter gaming, and it's enabling using a mouse, which is an additional component that comes with this, that emulates the controller so that you can have improved aim and whatever in your games. Now, I can plug a real mouse into my PC, so I don't need that aspect of it. But luckily, this part is compatible with a PC, and so I can just use it for that purpose, even though no one cares about the Xbox 360 anymore. However, because of the fact that it's really an Xbox 360 first device, there are some really unfortunate limitations in how this works in PC-compatible mode. In particular, this device that looks like a joystick is actually going to emulate a keyboard only. So this nice analog stick here actually just is hard-coded to output WASD. And so, if you get past the threshold, you move, but you don't get any control for speed. So that is really disappointing. The other thing that's unfortunate is although it looks like it has 3 buttons up here, only 2 of them actually output anything. So this top button up here is for macros and other things like that I don't know if they work actually on the PC side. I've never messed with it. But unfortunately, you only get 2 buttons here, so this isn't really any improvement over what you get with a regular 360 stick or, more modern stick in terms of the things you can operate with your pointer fingers. So from that perspective, now this really becomes just a sort of nerfed half of a Xbox controller. And unfortunately, the nerfing gets worse. So this direction pad is very spongy. It's usable, but it's very fatigue-inducing, and you really have to press. D-pads are always somewhat ergonomically questionable, but this one's definitely worse. And then this back button here, I don't know what finger you're supposed to use to push that. You're definitely not gonna mash it with the thumb of your, or that part of your hand, whatever that part's called, the cushion. I don't know. In any case, you're gonna have to do some ergonomic contortions. This button here is a little bit more accessible, but it's actually, I guess, pretty hard to push. Maybe they were afraid of accidental pushes, so it takes some push. You can sort of do it like that if you want, but it's certainly not good, easy access. So in conclusion, although it's neat that it lies on the table like it does, so you don't have to hold it in your hand, in the end, this really doesn't bring anything useful to the equation. So I don't recommend it. And I'm going to show you instead a solution that I think is much better that you can use with modern technology. But before I jump ahead to that, I just want to quickly show, here's a little discussion of what the buttons do. You can obviously pause and peruse this for yourself if you want to look into it more carefully. There's nothing really surprising there. The dongle has a place for you to plug a real 360 controller into it. That's how it could fool the 360 into thinking that there really was a real controller, because it really was one. It just intercepted the messages and rewrote them to make it emulate the controller when you move the mouse. There's this little switch on here that allows you to put it in the mode that you want to use. Unfortunately, when it's in the 360 mode, the computer doesn't recognize it, and I think that's why there's no way to get access to the analog stick. When you put it into the PC Mac mode, the whole thing just acts as a keyboard. So let's move on to what I think is really the better solution. So this is what I ended up actually using. It's just a generic Nintendo Switch controller, but I've got it mounted like this so that it doesn't actually have to be held in the trademark pending death grip. It just holds itself up, and you can just wrap your hands around it. Now you've got access to 2 buttons here, just like the FragChuck. You've got an actual analog stick, and then you've got a D-pad that's quite a bit more usable than the FragChuck's one. Plus, although not quite as easy to get to as these buttons here, you've got these buttons that you can get with your thumb, or even these buttons over here. So I think these Nintendo Switch controllers are actually a pretty good one-handed joystick option, assuming that you can find some mounting options so that you can easily just get access to all these things without having to also hold the joystick or gamepad, as it were, in your hand. So in the end, I think that these readily available cheap controllers like this really are better than the FragChucks, unfortunately.